Welcome everyone, Christine here with my essential unit guide for the Lizardmen in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. The Lizardmen are actually one of the more popular races in the game, at least according to Creative Assembly and the video they put out on that particular subject. So here I want to cover the units that you should be using in virtually every single Lizardman campaign with the exception of Axiatl because of his benefit towards skirmisher infantry units. But for the Lizardmen, the baseline unit that you're going to want to go for in every other campaign are the Saurus Warriors and the Saurus Spears. They're the same unit. The difference is that the Saurus Spears, they do have some different stats, but the main point is that they may be sacrificing some of that weapon strength for a bonus against large. So 2, maybe 4 Saurus Spears in every army to deal with flankers, to deal with larger units, is the way to go. Now, when we're looking at Saurus, specifically Saurus Warriors, what are we seeing? We're seeing a unit with 60 armor, so that is going to do pretty solidly in both battles and out-resolve, so they won't take as much damage as many other units. And on top of that, they have 75 leadership. They just won't break. They'll fight until the last lizard almost in almost every single battle. And even when their HP is going down, primal instincts are going to kick in, so physical resistance, melee attack, and a charge bonus. So they get stronger if their HP goes below 50%. Now, looking at their damage, they are doing a decent amount of armor-piercing damage, but they can struggle when it comes to that. But yeah, effectively the same unit. You can recruit these from tier 2. And you might even start with the ability of recruiting them from in a lot of campaigns, or like Mazdamundi can get them, Gorak can get them, Krokgar can get them, and the others don't have to struggle all that much to be able to get Saurus Warriors or Saurus Spears. Now, later on, as you progress, you will want to switch to Saurus Warriors with shields and Saurus Spears with shields. Effectively the same units, but you get a bronze shield and you do get some better melee stats. Like looking at the difference, you just get more melee defense, but in every other respect it is the same unit. You just have some missile resistance added to these guys that helps protect them against massed missile attacks. And the Saurus Spears with shields, same idea, same notion. Now, early on in a campaign, if you want some ranged units, my advice would be to go for Chameleon Skinks, which you can recruit in every campaign, but certainly this is a specialty for Axiatl. But looking at Chameleon Skinks, their attacks, both melee and ranged, are poison, so they will slow down an enemy and reduce its damage. And they can fire while moving with Vanguard deployment and have a ridiculous amount of missile resistance. So while they won't last long in a melee fight, they will last long in a range fight, because they can reduce the incoming attacks by a fairly significant amount. And they also have stock. Now, if you're looking for a more melee version that's more focused on melee attack with a precursor weapon, you can look at the Chameleon Stalkers. Usually I wouldn't really use these guys with the exception of Axiatl, because they're not as good as Saurus in a straight up melee fight. But their precursor attacks do flaming attacks, and their melee attacks do poison. They do have a decent level of armor, but regular Saurus are just gonna be flat out better than Chameleon Stalkers. But you gotta keep in mind, they still have 20% missile resistance, 20% physical resistance stock, and can fire while moving, though they won't get many attacks before they quickly run out of ammunition. Mainly use these for Axiatl. For Tenuin, if you're playing his campaign, you might want to get some of these early on before you start going for full-on Saurus recruitment. And then in terms of regular infantry, you will want, at the highest level, you will want to get Temple Guards. Now, Temple Guards, they still have a bronze shield, but they have 85 armor, ridiculous level of leadership, charge reflection, charge defense against large. Most of their damage is armor piercing, and they have a bonus versus large of 16. So basically taking these two units, making them better, and making them better. That's what you get with Temple Guard, the ultimate infantry unit of the Lizardmen. Absolutely worth using, especially on Mazdamundi, but they can be pretty expensive to use. Keep that in mind. If you want some monstrous infantry, you do have the Croxigars. Now, they can be pretty expensive and difficult to acquire, but they fill the same role as Stone Trolls do for the Greenskins or Armored Cast Trolls do for Chaos. They're heavily armored and heavily armed. They have a bonus versus infantry, and most of their damage is armor piercing. They have 15% missile resistance, and they cause fear. And they also have siege attacker. The Lizardmen don't bother with artillery. They have some artillery, but the Lizardmen have Croxigars to win siege battles for them. So most of their damage, armor piercing, and a bonus versus infantry of 15, which is a fairly solid bonus. In terms of the dinosaurs, well, honestly, I would say the dinosaurs usually aren't really worth using, because while they work, they are also expensive, and your economy as the Lizardman isn't the best. Like, would you rather have 2 or 3 armies running around, or would you have rather have an army of Carnosaurs going around the campaign map? When it comes to dinosaurs, I would recruit the Blessed dinosaur units if you do get them in a campaign, especially as Oxyatl, but otherwise I would not necessarily bother recruiting them, with the 2 major exceptions that I'm showing over here, or just the buffing dinosaurs. So early on you can get the Bastillodon with the revitalization crystal, so this can help heal your units. It has 7 charges, replenishes HP, heals injured before resurrecting, so it can even resurrect the dead from battle, causes terror, decent amount of stats, siege attacker, 140 armor. Pretty solid unit to use in a battle, and obviously gives you some fairly significant benefits when it comes to supporting your Saurus line. And then at later on, you can get the Ancient Stegodon with the Engine of the Gods. Now, this guy is still pretty solid in battle. It has the Burning Alignment ability, so you're looking at a wind ability. Siege Attacker, still available. Fire while moving. Can get power recharge of 20%. And 15% missile resistance. And also gives your adjacent units a 5% damage resistance. And also causes terrors. These are the 2 main dino units that I'd use. Obviously, you can get some dino units, so I wouldn't make entire stacks of them. I don't think that's worth it. Now, in terms of your hero choices, there are quite a few hero choices, but to be honest, they can be a pain to unlock, because they might require tier 4 to even get in the first place, let alone increasing hero capacity. But the essential hero for every Lizardman campaign is the Skink Chief. He does have a pretty crazy mount option over here. With the Stegodon, but the most important thing about the Skink Chief, it's not his combat ability in any way, shape, or form. Though obviously on a mount he'll do decently well in a melee fight, and he can stop rampage from units. But the crucial thing about the Skink Chief is he gives you replenishment. So your Saurus army can go from battle to battle to battle, auto-resolving a campaign, and replenishing fairly quickly if you have Skink Chiefs to support that army. And that is important. You can get a lot more Skink Chiefs than any other hero in a campaign. Then you have the Saurus Scar Veteran. He can ride the Carnosaur. He's fairly solid in battle, and he does give you training. Absolutely worth getting this hero, and you will unlock him from the barracks that you're using to recruit Saurus and later on Temple Guard. So absolutely worth getting some Scar Veterans. Hero lore choice, outside of the Legendary Lords, you have the ability of either going for a Slan Mage, which will be limited in number because you can only get them on the right, or you can go for a Saurus Old Blood. The Saurus Old Blood is like the Scar Veteran, just a Lord choice. The crucial thing about the Old Blood is he can give you a 20% upkeep for your Saurus units in the army he's in. He does have that skill line choice, which is absolutely worth it. But a Slan Mage Priest, while certainly not as good, he does give you magic, and specifically he gives you high magic if you choose to go for that. And I would personally always go for high magic, because firing on Invocation is just such a ridiculously good spell. You also get, like over here in Skirmish at least, you do get Banishment as a spell with limited cast, and you do have various other abilities. Mazdamundi is just basically a buffed version of Mage Priest, and so is Lord Croak, though Lord Croak is in another universe in terms of the significant amount of power that he does have. But Generally, when it comes to mage priests, it is going to take a while to unlock them, and there's only going to be so many of them in a campaign. But having a couple of these leading a couple of armies can obviously be very useful just for the magical ability. Or don't even have them leading armies. Take the supply line hit and just get one to follow your main armies around. Have them under Old Bloods. For the upkeep benefit, and just bring the mage priest for the sake of the magic that he does provide, because getting heroes for magic can be a significant issue in the Lizardmen campaign, and it's not necessarily a priority in your campaign. Getting a Tsarist Death Ball with Croxigars and revitalization crystals can be worth it far more from my perspective. And that is all there is to say about the Lizardmen. There are obviously other playstyles, like you can go with the flying playstyle, you can go with the dino playstyle, like Stegodons and the Carnosaurs, all that. But I would not necessarily bother with that. Regiments Renowned, though, and Blessed Units, that's a completely different discussion, and I would certainly get both Regiments Renowned and Blessed Units, but I would not go out of my way to recruit Stegodons or Carnosaurs or anything like that in the campaign. At least until I have established a massive empire, and then I can afford the economic hit. Senior signing out. Stay tuned for more.